Thank you, Doug. And trend number three's title is Mobile is Here to Stay. And I think the reason for that is while it's a trend, it's absolutely a trend with staying power. I think we've seen this building up for the last couple of years now. And, starting in 2007, really, that was when the modern smartphone was born. Obviously, the iPhone was introduced by Apple. And since then, we have seen a plethora of different types of devices enter the marketplace at large. We've seen Android phones, we've seen iPads, we've seen Microsoft phones, we've seen tablets, and now we even have some new class of device called phablet, which is, depending upon your vantage point, it's either an oversized phone or an undersized tablet. Phablet. And so, like it or not, mobile has changed our world. And if you don't believe me, you can go to my grandma's house and you'll watch her pull up her iPhone, and she's using an iPhone of all things. And HR technology is still trying to catch up, and I think that's something that's been very obvious to me. And we've now gotten to the point where we're seeing a transition of phases in the life cycle, I think, of HR technology with respect to mobile. What I mean by that is, in the first few years after mobile became prevalent in our population, efforts in HR were largely focused on mobile enabling the processes, basically making sure that things are mobile compatible. And we'll kind of start with you going to your IT guy and saying, hey, this, on your iPad, the application's not working on my iPad. Go make it work on my iPad. And, we're talking about things like that. And, can the benefits portal be working on an Android phone? And, remember Samantha before in her presentation talked about the fact that 87% of the world has mobile access. Well, in a recent study done, I think it was actually done this year by Jive, they found that over 80% of today's job seekers are using mobile devices in some shape or form in the job search process. That's critically important. And so we're now getting into a new phase, a phase that I like to refer to as mobile optimization, and then finally mobile apply. In that same Jive study, incidentally, over 50% of job seekers and HR users were dissatisfied with their experience on a mobile platform. And that's because if you're really just setting out to make your application and your HR technology compatible with mobile devices, you're really not solving the true problem. You're really not taking advantage of mobile. And when we talk about optimizing it for mobile, we're talking about reducing the amount of fields that appear on the screen. We're talking about reducing the amount of time it takes to fill out an application when we talk about mobile apply. And these are the critical things that we need to think about. Taking advantage of the native device's strengths. That's what we see as the most important. I like this graph. This was something that came from the Aberdeen group earlier this year, a study that was done. And you'll notice that in terms of impediments for talent acquisition, two of the top three were technology-driven. Right after shortages of critical skills, the candidate experience and the need to update existing tools and technology were mentioned by HR professionals as issues and impediments with talent acquisition technology. So I have to ask, might the tail wag the dog on this? And what do I mean by that? What I mean is our companies literally turning away, not intentionally, of course, but turning away viable candidates because of a poor mobile experience. And if you look at the Jive study that I mentioned earlier, 50% of job seekers are dissatisfied with their mobile experience, and 80% of them are using mobile in some sense. And we're talking about 40% of the total population. That's a very, very large number. So that's why there's a lot of focus right now on mobile. And what we're finding is best-in-class companies are making investments in new technology to make recruitment more engaging. This involves optimizing the candidate experience in the hiring process. It involves ensuring a good new hire experience and onboarding, and the employee experience also in HR systems. Let's not forget about the systems that HR professionals are using too. And so you can see that there in the graph to the left. The graph to the right is showing that, when I think this is very interesting, that if technology is something that's best-in-class companies are focusing on, what specifically are they focusing on? Well, 44% of the time, mobile solutions and mobile optimizing their talent acquisition solutions. So I guess the punchline here is HR is catching up, and we can see it in real-life examples. At the actual HR technology conference, Comcast actually did an excellent presentation on mobile. And they shared some of their experiences with it that I can summarize very quickly here for this group. They implemented a mobile optimized application process in November of last year, November of 2013, so it's been almost a year. And that was done with the help of Jive. And they saw a reduction of time to fill, which was down 11%. They saw a reduction of cost per hire, which was down 9%, and vacancies down a whopping 36%. And remember, 80% of people are using mobile devices in the job search process. Companies can dramatically increase the pool of candidates. It's a very serious consideration. And then if I could just take a 20-second time out for a commercial. Our own experience with mobile, I'll talk about, and I'm the CIO of Carco. For those of you who don't know, Carco is an HR technology and risk mitigation company. We were CIO Magazine's, recently we were named CIO Magazine's 20 most promising HR technology solution providers in 2014. And our own experience in the onboarding solution that we provide to our clients, that 15% of our users are using a mobile device and use that device to complete their onboarding process. And most recently, and Samantha and I worked on this very closely, we worked together on this, we introduced a mobile app that solves a critical problem in the background space. And for those of you who have any experience in backgrounds, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. How do I get my W-2 documents, my diploma documents back to the company? How do I solve that problem? Well, traditionally it's done via faxing and via mailing. With our mobile app, it's done via taking pictures using your smartphone. And guess what? Remember what I said before about the trends with mobile is to and one of the things you want to do when you're mobile optimizing is take advantage of the device's strengths. One clear strength of a mobile device is that they almost all have cameras. You can now use that. Get rid of scanners, get rid of fax machines, and of course the app is done in such a way where we have to, always be conscious of security. And so really forward-leaning companies, they're moving very quickly to mobile optimize the HR systems to maximize the candidate new hire experience. And we're going to see that as a steepening trend in 2015. And, those companies that ignore the mobile trend or look only to ensure mobile compatibility will do so at their own peril. I think they literally will be left behind, those companies that are thinking about it in the right way.